Let's go through two charts right now, help you give data-driven insights about why the Australian property market, there's no crash coming. In the last property boom, 2012 to 2015-ish, at the same time as the boom was going on, starts increased and completions increased. So there was then much more supply in Australia of houses in and around 2015, 2016 than there was at the start of the boom. Same this time. But what we see here is that completions never really went up that much. And the key reason for that is building costs are just through the roof. Demand is still incredibly strong. We've gone through and are going through a property boom. However, supply side hasn't really gone up. If the supply side followed this huge rise in starts, approvals, then supply would have gone up really quickly and the boom would have finished by now. But it hasn't. It's carrying on. The second and last chart I wanted to show you is the cumulative Australian excess housing supply. Since the start of the last decade, 2010, there has never been a time in Australia where this blue line has been positive. In other words, there has never been a surplus of housing supply. There's never been excess housing supply. The last boom, as I just said, mostly Sydney, Melbourne orientated, started, well, the previous one, 2012, and then it finished up at around 2015. You can see that excess supply was getting weaker and weaker. In fact, the shortage of supply was getting bigger and bigger. When the boom finished around 2016, you can see that. Why was that? It's because supply started increasing. It still wasn't in surplus or excess. It was still shortage, but the shortage was reducing. Whilst property prices weren't booming in 2019, it was really towards the end of 2019 when a lot of Sydney and other parts of Australia started rising again. People think the Australian boom started because of COVID. Actually, it was already starting at this point. So this price rise had started in 2019. So yes, approvals increased. Yes, the yellow line also increased. However, we're still in a shortage. We're still not in positive territory. We're still below zero. And what will happen in the next 2, 3, 4 years is that this line, yes, will become higher and higher. But then, with immigration coming on, demand will continue to rise. All of this supply will be sucked up and then will be cyclically going down again. It'll be like this again. These things happen in cycles, and there's never been a time in Australia where in the last 10, 15 years, where there has been excess housing supply. So the conclusion is everyone thinks that after a boom, there is going to be a bust. The supply side is what will keep property prices healthy, stable over the next few years.